Hi everyone and welcome back to the Baby Sleep Magic podcast. My name is Chantal Murphy and today's episode is a recent recording from a Skype consultation that I did with a client in regards to her 5-month-old that was waking up frequently through the night and experiencing a fair bit of catnapping through the day. So hopefully you still find it helpful even though it's just a snippet. But also head to my website. The link is in the description. At the moment we are offering free sleep guides. So head there to grab your free sleep guide. And if you do find this information valuable, feel free to share it with a friend or another mum. Enjoy the podcast, guys.
Once she wakes up after either an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it might be, you bring her out. You only feed her the big feed at 3 hours, and then you give her the top up before nap time. Once she goes down for her second nap of the day, it's the same process. Make sure you give her a top up in the living room where it's light and bright. Take her into the bedroom. Now, when you take her into the bedroom, is everything prepped? The room's dark, the white noise is on. Yep. It's all done. So you're walking into a really nice environment. She's full. You wrap her up, tuck her in, leave the room, and then in hope again, if her tummy's full, room's dark, white noise is on, blah, 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 she will hopefully link those sleep cycles. If she doesn't and she wakes up after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, my tip at this point would be to stall. So again, wait till her cries get to a point where you're not comfortable with. When you feel at that point, get your phone, set your timer for 10 minutes, and then start stalling. If after 10 minutes she's still really worked up, go in and get her and do a dramatic wake up. Hi, baby. Let her know this is a wake time, not 10 minutes ago. That was actually nap time.
Yeah.
So, hi, baby. Lights on, blinds open. It's a wake time. Get her out, and then again start your wake window from that point. But if she's given the opportunity, like I said, around 9 minutes, 50 seconds, you might be surprised. She might stop crying, bubble around for a bit, and then doze back off. And you might get another 20, 40 minutes out of her if you're lucky.
Okay.
And that's the key. That's what we want to try and do to teach her to link those sleep cycles. Is she still having a third nap? She probably would be, wouldn't she? I think you're doing that in the baby beyond.
Yep.
I'd continue.
I don't like the baby on not all the time, but she's definitely having a third nap.
Yeah, she would do. But generally, the third naps start to disappear anywhere between 6.5 months and 8 and 9 months, depending on the child. So as they get older, that third nap is always harder to get just because they're getting older and it's not as needed and it's always a fight. So I always advise do the third nap if it's becoming an issue on the go. Use motion to your advantage, whether it's a car, the pram, in a baby beyond, something. So therefore, you're using that afternoon nap on the go. And it can be anywhere between 15 minutes, 20 minutes. However, if her morning nap was 20 minutes and you could not get anything out of her than 20 minutes first thing in the morning, her lunch nap may have been an hour or even worst case, 20 minutes. That last nap can certainly be an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. Because when she only sleeps 20 minutes and then again 20 minutes, your whole day's pushed up anyway. So it still allows for the third nap to be a really good one and a really long one if she's going to give it to us.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be structured as has to be an hour and a half, has to be 2 hours, and it has to be like it. Generally, that's how it falls into place once everything starts to get on a roll. But they all have bad days just like we do. And if she has a 20-minute power nap followed by another 20-minute power nap, that third nap, she may give you an hour and a half.
Yeah, okay.
So that's always an option. Don't feel like, oh, my God, this third nap should be 15, 20 minutes. Not if she's had really bad naps all day. It can always be a longer one.
Yeah.
And then given that where it says 5 p.m. dinner solids, my advice at this point would be to do, which I think you are anyway, milk. Is that what you're currently doing? Because you're doing a fair bit of feeding in the afternoon, aren't you?
Yeah, just breastfeeding.
Yeah.
She's just woken up and she's crying. Should we not do anything you've said now? Do it
tomorrow? Do it tomorrow. I'd start tomorrow. That way you can start fresh with the tucking in, wrapping her properly, giving her a comforter, having her arm out. You might just, I wouldn't worry too much at the moment. But if she's not crying, leave her.
No, she's crying.
Okay, righto.
That was a 40-minute nap, though. She's really consistent with the 40 to 45, wakes up every time.
So that's a sleep cycle. That's what that is. And us as adults have 90 minutes. Every 90 minutes we would toss turn at night and go back to sleep, where she does it at 40, 45.
Yeah.
And what we just need to teach her to do is sleep longer.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
So,
Okay, so at 5, I'm feeding her, yeah.
yeah, perfect. So that's what where it says dinner solids, in your scenario, she's not on solids, so I'd be offering her a boob at this point, whether it's a top up or the full boob, depending on where you are on the day. Just some type of milk, and that's going to compensate food at this stage because she's not on solids. And then she'll go and have what you'd normally do. You do your wind down time, you do your bath, and you have a salt lamp on in the house or whatever you do. I wouldn't change anything. Just continue doing that. Take her into the room, depending on her wake window when she last woke up. So she'll probably have around about 2 hours and 15 minutes in her for her very last wake window of the day.
Okay.
So as she gets older, her wake window for the very last wake window of the day is always a little bit longer. So given her at 5 months old, she's capable of probably between her last nap and bedtime, anywhere between 2 hours 15 and 2.5 hours before she's going to be ready for bed. If you try much earlier than that, she could probably protest for 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. So does her sleep time have to be firm? So we've been doing 7 o'clock as her sleep time. So no matter what happens with the naps in between that, we kind of try to go around the 7 to 7:30 if we have to.
Yeah. Well,
do we work off what the day naps are for her bedtime?
Generally, I'd say yes. Generally, I say yes. Yep. Because in some cases, as she gets older, that third nap might not happen at all. And therefore, if you stick to 6:30, 7 o'clock, and she then has her last wake up at 2:30, that's a huge wake window to try and reach 6:30, 7 o'clock, where you might, on days like that, and it might not happen for a while yet, but when she misses that third nap because she just had a bad day and it didn't happen, you might be better off putting her to bed between 5:30, 6.
Wow.
On those days where she misses that third nap.
And that'll be her big one, her big sleep.
Yeah, well, that's her night sleep. She's down from 5:30 at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Goals.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
He's like, goals. That's what dreams are made of.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. But what we ultimately need to do is start giving her more calories through the day, because I can see what she's doing. She's doing a good chunk of sleep from the beginning of the night, so from 6:30, 7 o'clock through till midnight, which is good. We know she can self-settle. That's tick. What she's not doing is sleeping from midnight through till 6, because she's actually, by the seams of it, hungry. I would say she's genuinely hungry. The comforts tops it off. She loves it, but ultimately the reason she's waking is for hunger rather than comfort. She can get comfort by patting or by shushing. You could probably pat her and shush all you want, or even cuddle her. Unless she gets a feed, she's not going to go back to sleep at the moment.
Okay, so when I feed her at the midnight or whatever time it is, in the lounge room?
No. So at nighttime, we want to keep it business. It's bedtime. This is dark. Have enough light on that you can see and that it's safe, of course. My suggestion would probably be to give her some type of feed. What time are you going to bed?
I was going to bed at like 10:30. Yep.
So let's give her a dream feed 4 hours from when she last had her milk feed of the night. So if she's going to bed pretty religiously around 6:37, it would probably be more around 10:30.
Yeah, I did do that one night. I don't know if I wrote it on the routine.
Yeah.
Dream feed at 10:30. Yeah, sort of. It's like a semi-sleep feed.
You pick her up before she's sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is only what we want to try and do is avoid her then waking. She'll wake again 4 hours after that for a feed, which we'll give her. But what we then don't want to do is get her up religiously after that to get extra feeds, because she's already had her 2 feeds for the night. If we wait for her to wake around midnight and then again at 4, she's going to wake for the day at 6 and probably not want to eat a huge amount because she only ate 2 hours ago. And then that kind of sets you up on the back foot with calories for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Kind of.
So the alternate is, and I always say never wake a sleeping baby. So the alternate is to let her do what she does. When she wakes, you feed her at midnight, 1 o'clock, whatever it might be. But then she does not get fed again after that until 4 hours later, or close as you possibly can, which in your case would probably be around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Is that what it might look like if she what time she averagely wakes for the first time?
Midnight. So she goes 7 to midnight, and then she does 2:30.
2:30, so that's what we don't want to do.
And then 4:30, and then 5:30, and then 7. Yeah.
So what we want to then, if she wakes up at midnight, we feed her at midnight, and then she gets no more boob until 3:30, 4 o'clock.
So feed at midnight.
Yep.
And then, okay, so when she wakes up at 2:30, what do I do?
Pat her on that nappy area here.
Yep.
This area here.
Yep.
Until she goes back to sleep.
Okay, at 2:30, pat nappy. Okay, and let her cry for 10 minutes.
Well, this is where it could take a lot longer. This is the thing. And this is why we need to try and get those calories into her through the day, because she's probably at 2:30 waking up genuinely hungry. Now, the problem with the 2:30 wake up is she's going to wake up because she's genuinely hungry. There's no amount of padding and shushing is going to get her back to sleep if she's genuinely hungry. So there's no point you sitting there for 2 hours patting her. That's just ridiculous. But what I do suggest, you really do need to stall longer than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because what we're trying to do is take away that night feed, take away that 2 a.m. feed. So I normally say anywhere between half an hour to 45 minutes. If she's still crying and clearly not going back to sleep after 30 to 45 minutes, at this point, feed her. I'm not with you at 1 a.m. or 2:30 a.m. I'm not the one having to deal with the baby crying at that time of the morning. So you just got to do what you've got to do to survive. But in this instance here, we want to show her you can't just wake up randomly through the night, cry, and get fed. It doesn't work like that now that she's 5 months old, and now that we're increasing the calories through the day, so she can wake up, she can protest. If it's really going to go on and on and on, then feed her. Give her a quick feed, because we don't want her to have too much, because her proper feed is at 4 o'clock or whatever it probably will be, 4 hours from midnight. But you just want to take the edge off. So you might want to give you a dodgy boob at this point. Yeah, the one with only 50 mils or something in it.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we just want to take the edge off. We don't want to have a huge feed, because chances are she's going to wake up again at 4, and this is where she gets her good feed at 4. It's been 4 hours since her first proper feed. And it's taking away that habitual waking. She's waking, yes, she's genuinely hungry, but also she's been used to getting what she wants as well. So we're going to start taking that away. And the next night, she'll really start to think twice about waking randomly through the night. If she's got to wait half an hour, 45 minutes for a feed, it's just not in her interest to do that, especially if her tummy's already full, which is the key to getting the calories in through the day.
Yeah.
Because if she's satisfied through the day, she will, once she thinks twice about waking up through the night and she's satisfied, she won't wake up through the night. She just won't. They learn pretty quickly. But if it becomes a problem, then we can talk about the dream feed again. If it becomes habitual and it becomes quite consistent, and we're certainly not getting any traction, we're not getting anywhere, then we can start to implement a dream feed, and then she only gets fed while she's asleep. So then she doesn't ever wake up and get rewarded with food.
Yeah.
But we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's just see what she does. Let's see how she responds over the next week, to see what she does with the extra calories in her, with being really tucked in, having one arm out, changing her timings a little bit. She might surprise us.
Yeah.
And by stalling through the day also helps at night as well.
Yeah.
So then once it comes, whether you need to feed her or not, she goes back to sleep, and then in the event that she wakes around 4, feed her. You don't need to stall. When it's feed time, you don't need to stall. It's get in there, feed her, give her a feed, tuck her back in, back to sleep. And then, it's wake up time around 6-ish. If she's not awake by 7, then I would start waking her, as in open the door, open the blinds, turn the white noise off. You don't physically need to wake her up and give her a poke, but by that time in the morning, by making a bit of household noise and opening the door and the blinds, should hopefully be enough by 7-ish. Because we want her to have a really good feed of the day between whatever time she wakes up, between 6 and 7. We really want that feed to be really good, because if she snacks at that feed, then that just sets you up for kind of like snacking all day, which is not what we want. We want her to have every 3 hours, we want to have a good feed, and then before nap time, we just want to have a little top up.
Okay.
Until she starts solids. Once she starts solids, those top up feeds, milk, 50 mils of boob, they'll be starting to go because you'll be compensating the top ups with food.
Yeah.
And chances are within the last maybe month or so, she may have gone through a growth spurt as well. And that's why she's waking out more through the night, just to make up for those calories she's not getting through the day.
Yeah.
Which is all normal. So in the event she wakes up, let's just say you give her a midnight feed and she sleeps through now till 5 or 5:30. My advice at this point now is to stall. If you feed her at between 5 and 5:30, chances she's probably 90% of the time she's not going to go back to sleep, because she's been in there coming up 10 to 12 hours. She's pretty much done. She's ready to start her day. If you feed her between 5 and 5:30, she's going to wake up for the day anyway. You're going to get her out at 6ish because she's going to start cracking it. And then giving her boob again at 6, you're not, because she had it at 5. So what you're best to do between 5, the closer you get to 6 a.m., the least amount of boob you want to offer. So if it's 4 or 4:30, yes, it's borderline. Anything after 4:30, especially close to 5 o'clock, you're better off stalling. If that needs to be giving her extra cuddles, being in her room, patting the mattress, patting her belly to try and get her off to sleep. In some cases, especially if it is closer to 6, what you're better off doing is getting like you got like one of those toys with projectory lights on it, or something a little bit stimulant that you could just put in the cot that will buy you time, something like that. And what you're doing is you're not setting up bad habits, you're not stimulating her too much. The other option is leave her in there and she's just going to cry. Or you get her up and your day starts really early. So what you're best to do at this point is give her something in her cot as a distraction. It's going to buy you 15, 20 minutes if you're lucky. That might bring you now to 5:45, 10 to 6. At that point, if she's cracked it again, you get her up, take her out to the living, dining area, kitchen, but do not feed her until 6:01.
Okay. And when I feed her at those times, can I lay on the couch with her, or do I have to sit up with her?
Do whatever you want, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All we don't want her to do
with the light
is sleep.
Yeah.
That's all. And we don't want her to ever think that falling asleep on the boob is okay, because you've worked so hard to get her to fall asleep independently and she's doing really well at it. I don't think she would fall asleep on the boob because she's not used to doing it, but you just don't want to start implementing that. It's business. We're filling up her tummy. We're getting her putting her down for a nap with a full tummy. Do what works for you. But at night time, it's business. It's in the dark room. If she falls asleep on the boob, it's not the end of the world. Tuck her in, put her to sleep. She doesn't necessarily need burping at this age. It doesn't matter. If she falls asleep, she falls asleep. I wouldn't be too stressed or fussed about it overnight. But during the day, make sure she's completely alert, engaged in the feeding, awake, and she goes in her room 100% and in her cot 100% awake.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at 2:30 when she wakes up in the morning, you're saying pat her nappy back to sleep. Never get her up and walk around and shush her?
Preferably not, unless you feel something's not quite right. If you think she's not well or she's teething, then I say survive. Do what you got to do. Sometimes you got to walk around the house to calm her down. Sometimes you got to offer some pain relief. Sometimes you got to offer more, whatever you've got to do in situations like that to survive. But if it's just a normal night and you know she's protesting, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going. And why I say don't feed her to 6 a.m. or 6:01, being silly, is because we're resetting her body clock. If you get her up, if she wakes up at 5:30 and you give her the toy for 15 minutes and then she's cracked it and you get her up at 6:45 and you give her boob at 6:45, the next day she's going to wake up because her tummy's hungry at 6:45 and you're never going to make it to 6 o'clock. So even if she wakes up early, you can stall, you can play the game, you can do whatever, but don't feed her till 6 o'clock, because what we're going to do after a couple of weeks, her tummy's not going to get hungry till 6 o'clock, so she's then going to be capable of sleeping till at least 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Because her body clock, she doesn't know the time. She's got no idea. Her body clock knows the time. If she gets fed earlier, she's going to wake earlier. If you start feeding her at the same time every day, her body clock's not going to know any different, and she won't need to wake earlier because her body clock's not waking her earlier.
Thanks again for listening. For any additional tips, head over to my Instagram page at Baby Sleep Magic and just refer to the highlights, guys. There's lots of information on there for dark room, white noise, comforter, napping on the go, newborn tips. There's plenty of stuff on there, videos that you can refer to. Yeah, thanks again and see you next episode.